Welcome to Inner Voice of Knowing podcast. I'm Kaye, a shamanic leadership coach and healer, guiding you through life with a foot in both worlds. When you understand the terrain of the inner landscapes, the mental, emotional, spiritual, and energetic, you will become the leader within your physical life, both personally and professionally. After all, the power of change is in your hands. Let's get this journey started. Welcome back to Inner Voice of Knowing podcast. I've had a deeply introspective, sacred, spiritual, energetic renewal over the last 5 days as I travelled to Bali with a friend and colleague. And we didn't know when we'd actually booked that the Monday, or that they were actually going through a beautiful ceremonial time, and on the Monday was a day to be silent. No lights, no electricity, no speaking, no shops were open. A very powerful day. And we stayed in Ubud. My friend had been there before. We stayed at Narasoma Homestay, main street of Ubud, but you have to walk down this cobbled street and come to this little slice of paradise where I had 5 days of deep meditation, ceremony, prayer, being present, and doing what I always do, which is in everything that I'm doing as a shaman, it is about turning the vision inwards. And in everything, turning the vision inwards to know how to express and move through the world externally. But this was an amplification of it. It was multi-layered at Narasoma. It was so green and lush and full of flowers and plants, butterflies, birds, frogs. It was stunning. A big open yoga studio for yoga retreats, multi-layered for all the sleeping arrangements to be. And it was rustic and very Balinese and felt like entering a different world. There's a beautiful river that runs through the property. My friend's accommodation was right down next to the river. I was another layer up, so overlooking it when I sat out on the porch. It was stunning. I felt like I was out in the middle of nowhere and just in the middle of nature. And of course, with this sacred time that had been going on in Bali, you can imagine the prayers and the offerings and the ceremonies. On the property, there was this tiny little waterfall and a little cave, clearly where they had done and been doing offerings. On top of certain buildings, there were crystals. Like one of them that I kept seeing was this massive point of a rose quartz crystal on the top of it. So you can imagine the energy in this environment from the plants, from everything that was going on, from the spiritual time, the feeling of isolation and being cocooned in this most palpable energy at Narasoma Homestay during this incredibly sacred time. So meditations were very deep for me. You know, I meditated many times in the day of silence on the Monday, no electricity, so no lights, wasn't allowed to leave the Narasoma Homestay environment, no speaking. It was a very deep day. And remember, so many people that day would be in prayer, would be in ceremony. So the energy was just incredible, and there are no words that could even describe the 5-day experience. And the beauty of this location was walk back up that cobbled street, and we were then on the main street in Ubud with all the amazing restaurants and cafes and food and glorious places to explore, such as a sacred cacao cafe, right up my alley. So lots of meditation, lots of being immersed and disconnected from doing my work, you know, communicating with family and my husband and TV, because there are no TVs there, limited internet. So really not engaging with social media in the same way that normally would be taking place. A very deep plugging back in and introspective time and deep discussions with my friend of explorations. And you would have heard me say this before if you've been listening to this podcast, that the truth for me since my early 20s has not changed, but it has deepened and expanded within my understanding and further integration of this truth as I have moved more deeply inwards and explored. And to be able to do that exploration means to be able to turn the vision inwards. And in this deep exploration of soul renewal, energy expansion, a deepening of understanding and knowing, and a deeply sacred time of more powerfully being focused with intention without the disruptors of everyday happenings and requirements of doing, it was 5 days of being. And this is what I have come to be reminded of. The absolute transformation of my journey has been about a continually turning the vision inwards to explore that which has been living in the unconscious and bringing it into conscious awareness, exploring the inner universe that exists within, exploring deeply held subconscious false stories and beliefs that have been a driver in my external world. Because remember, the universe doesn't care what you want. The universe is reflecting back to you what's in you. Everything from the heart intelligence breathing to meditation to the energy work to the deep power questions and the powerful, curious questions, everything that I do in my life that has transformed, deepened, unwrapped, and aligned me from that sticky spider's web of illusion that becomes an intrusion. Everything that has powered up my life, powered up my focus, my mind, my emotions, my energy, my connection to all that there is, has come from introspection, turning the vision inwards. Because remember, the external is the projection and the reflection back to you of what's happening deeply within you. I was reminded, and I've always meditated, and I am an absolute advocate for meditation. It is the key to going within, to learning to become the witness. And everybody can meditate. Because here's the thing, and I learned to meditate, I was about 19 or so. And anytime I stop meditating, I get more easily caught, momentarily stuck in that sticky spider's web of illusion, because the vision and the energy cannot be continually moving outwards. It's the moving in of the becoming of the energy gathering, if you will, shamanically, of the mental and emotional alignment, the amplification of that process with the inner knowing that empowers the exploration and the moving through in the external world, navigating it, understanding it in the choices that are made in how to express that which I am in this external world. The movement of thought, the movement of emotion, the movement of the body, the movement of actions taken, the movement of responding to all things in the external, driven and fed from the deep understanding, empowered remembering, rejuvenation from within. If we just keep looking externally, how are you going to see what's in your blind spot? If you can't see what's in the blind spot and unmask that, then you cannot change it until you have an awareness of it. So the shamanic path for me is always about the self-reflective, turn the vision inwards. And as I said, meditation is the key that opens the door. And you do know how to meditate, because I have taught many, 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 many people over the 34 plus years that have said, I don't know how to meditate. I can't meditate. I've tried it before. Let's get clear on meditation before we move on from this. Meditation is about becoming the witness. God is the witness to us, to this world. It's not unless we invoke and invite God in that God just sits there and allows us, because we are a soul purely here to experience all that being human has to offer. So we learn to turn our vision inwards, which means we learn to become self-observant of our inner world and our inner workings. Okay. We also get to observe, where are our thoughts going? Because if our thoughts are going back to our past, if our thoughts are projecting into the future, then that is where our energy is being sent. So in observing that and observing our breath and going into that meditation, knowing our own energy, I think it's in episode 2, the cutting of the cords and the cleansing and using the Christ light, the bluish white light, and the cutting of the cords process to get to know and be in your own energy. Then you can be using the heart intelligence breath just to bring you into the now moment, to really connect. And then you're sitting there. I like to connect my thumb and then my first 2 fingers, and that creates a circuitry. I sit as straight as I can. And through meditation, I have learnt to want to be straighter and straighter as I feel the energy flow. And I want to remain as open to that as possible. You would have done the 4-4-4 breath work in doing some of the heart intelligence breathing. Hand on the chest, breathing in your 4 words. I am here now. I am with source, or love, compassion, understanding, and forgiveness, whatever 4 words you choose, and holding that breath and those words, dropping the jaw and releasing. So you're also becoming observant of your breath. You're observant of your energy, of your thoughts, and of your breathing. And I just choose a word to harness me back into the now moment. For me, for many years, it has just been peace. So my mind wanders off. I don't judge it. Taking a breath, peace. I am learning via the witnessing to command my energy back. Not to just let it go, but to bring it back. I am witnessing my thoughts and bringing my thoughts back to the present. I'm witnessing my energy. I'm bringing it back to the present. I'm just feeling my breathing. I'm tuning in. With my eyes, I've got them turned up as though I'm looking out my crown, but really I'm looking within. Some meditations seem incredibly busy. Others, the more I witness, the more I sink into that inner universe. The feeling of the body disappears, and I'm just in it. But there are other times, and I've been meditating since I'm about 19, where sometimes it feels incredibly busy. I just observe, bringing no judgment, keeping the focus on peace, the witnessing, the calling back of my energy, being present. That's witnessing my thoughts, my feelings, my energy, my breath, and bringing it all back to peace. I'm connecting into the inner universe, the intelligence of the heart. I'm dialing up my inner voice of knowing. Yes, you can do some guided meditations as long as they're created that don't create more busyness for you. I've got 3 on my website. You're more than welcome to go and explore those. That's powerful. When you're cutting the cords of your energy, you're turning your vision inwards. Asking power questions that call up, command a response. It's a direct, powerful question. God, source, universe, whatever word you like to use. What is holding me back from financial abundance, or whatever it might be? What is the pain in this body? And you notice I say this body, I don't own it as mine. I'm not owning the pain, which means I'm harnessing and tapping into it. I'm speaking as the observer, asking the power question. What is it trying to tell me? You see how we're asking that direct question, invoking a response. The response may not come straight away. It might come in signs. It might be very clear straight away. It might come in bits and pieces that you can digest. But here's the thing, shamanically, it might come through your emotions and things that you say, but if you're not self-observant and witnessing during your life, your days, your moments, the words that you're using, you may miss the very answer. Because I had someone say something, and when I relayed it back to them, that was the answer to the question of the trapped energy, the blockage, if you like, for lack of a better word, to what was holding them back from changing a certain aspect of the movie screen, movie playing in their external world. Meditation is a key for all of that. Observing your words, observing your emotions, calling them out for what they are, learning to breathe more deeply beyond the chest and willing to breathe and connect into all the emotion that sits in the lower centers, rather than skimming across the surface of those emotions. rather than speaking with no mindfulness or reflection on the words that you're actually speaking out into the world that have come from your internal patterns. Shamanically, the breathing in of beauty as you walk in this world. I breathe the beauty of sun. I breathe in the beauty of trees. I breathe in the beauty of water whenever I'm walking. That is turning your vision inwards. Yes, it's all expanding your energy, but it is dialing you in more deeply to your internal truth, knowing, power, beauty that exists within all of us. So my question to you is, what are you doing on a daily basis? What are you implementing into your life in order for you to unwrap all the layers that run through you that have been dulling down your light, your inner voice of knowing, power, and potential, and your ability to recognize and understand that everything is speaking to you, for you, to support you, so that you can move through this reality in alignment with your soul purpose for being here, in a world of beauty, of unity, of connection, of support, of clarity, and of love. Ultimately, of love. Because you're not going to be able to create the change that you seek by only moving through your external world with your vision only focused on your external world. Because the jewels, the gems that you seek embedded within your heart center are there. But you must turn your vision inward. You must do practices and ways of being that start as practices, but then they just become your natural ways of being that turn that vision inwards. Seek the support of the guide that knows how to tell you, to show you, to support you in how you can do that. Because once you do that, it will forever keep deepening, expanding, integrating, empowering you on your path. And the shaman knows this to be so. And even more so in coming back to my hometown, where social media has to be picked up again, but so much more mindfully. I'm very clear on my boundaries because I've been listening, feeling, calling up, being shown by being in 5 days of complete introspection and connection. And if you'd like, collaboration with source and life force. It's a powerful experience. And it's brought clarification for me moving through in being back home and the importance of And yes, I'm back to grandchildren, my husband, clients, all the things that can catch us off guard, television, social media. But the deeper set boundaries have been re-established. The deeper recognition of my own tipping points, of the power that is tapped into, that is around us and within us when we take that time to turn our vision inwards. And I also got to see the daily practices of the turning the vision inwards through the energetic practices, through the turning of the key and entering the inner space by meditation, with no expectation other than to observe, to call back, to be present, and on those incredibly special moments to disappear and float into the inner universe. It's a powerful journey, and it empowers your journey into the external expression and understanding of what is the world that you are igniting from within you. What is the world externally then going to reflect back to you? And what are you going to do? What are you choosing to do each day that turns your vision inwards, that empowers the action you take outwardly? Because if you only walk the outward path, you are going without. Let that one land. You need to go in to change the external by changing the internal first. And remaining open and living with a foot in both worlds. Remember, you are soul and energy first. And it's a miraculous journey to unmask, to uncover, and to explore that which you are not yet conscious of. And to do that, you must turn your vision inwards. Remember, the power of change is in your hands, and it simply takes a choice. The journey within. Join me on my next episode, and if you love this podcast, please subscribe by clicking on the plus button if you're on Apple, or like and follow on Spotify, rate and review, and please share Inner Voice of Knowing with your friends.